Surprising things did happen in the 2024 US presidential election. Now this one, though, no one saw coming. With a staggering 10% increase over 2020, Donald Trump attracted 46% of young voters. But here's the shocking part: his campaign seemed younger, more approachable, and strangely in sync with Generation Z. His 18-year-old son, Barron Trump, was the brains behind that youth-friendly policy, not some well-compensated political consultant. Barron Trump has proven that he is no longer the reticent Trump by subtly guiding an election that garnered support from young voters and then delivering a speech that sent shockwaves across the nation. Join us as we narrate his story in this video. Not shortly after Donald and Melania Trump's 2005 wedding, they became the subject of major media attention. Melania had high hopes. Donald Trump's fifth child, Barron, was born on March 20, 2006. To Melania's initial ones. Barron spent nearly his whole childhood in relative obscurity, in contrast to his older half-siblings who were already establishing themselves in the public eye and making business moves before he was born. He may not have been as famous as the other Trump children, but that didn't make his childhood any less extraordinary. Extreme affluence and active parenting were both present during Barron's formative years. The penthouse of New York City's Trump Tower was his childhood home. With $100 million worth of marble, gold, and floor-to-ceiling windows that gaze out over Manhattan. Melania ensured he lived a regimented childhood, even though he had access to every luxury imaginable. She notably did not employ a nanny and instead oversaw his daily routine since she was so engrossed. Especially with regards to his academic pursuits, her impact on his life was evident even at a young age. Melania and Donald were determined to provide Barron with an exceptional education. A leading Manhattan private school, Columbia Grammar and Preparatory School, was his first choice. Barron had a rather quiet experience at the institution, which was known for its demanding curriculum and famous alumni. When Donald Trump was elected president in 2016 and his entire family came under even greater scrutiny, it changed everything. Transferring to the nation's capital. Melania did not make the decision lightly because it was a massive change. She opted for Maryland's St. Andrew's Episcopal School for Barron rather of the practically ubiquitous Sidwell Friends School. It wasn't a case of wanting to stand out that we broke with convention. St. Andrew's seemed like a better fit for Melania's son. 4 months after Donald assumed office, she remained in New York with Barron to ensure his stability. They waited for him to finish the school year before moving to the White House in June 2017. Since John F. Kennedy Jr., no president's child has lived in the White House longer than Barron. Barron, despite that momentous move, remained low-key. He avoided politics and public life more than his elder half-siblings, who were prominent figures in their father's administration. On rare occasions, he would do so, such as during the 2020 presidential election night gathering, the impeachment hearings, or the White House Easter egg roll. People couldn't help but notice his towering stature, despite his lack of verbal communication. He started to tower above his parents in his early teens, which led to unending curiosity about his eventual height. The Trump family relocated to Florida after Donald's presidency ended, and Barron attended the prestigious private school Oxbridge Academy, known for its rigorous academic program. The changeover went down without a hitch because of Melania's meticulous preparation. She had always placed a premium on his upbringing and schooling, ensuring he was prepared for success regardless of their path through life. Barron remained out of the limelight for a long time, unlike any other Trump associate. He preferred to stay out of the spotlight, making only rare appearances at family gatherings, while his older half-siblings were busy causing waves in the corporate world, political arena, and media. Realistically, though, he could never have remained in the background given his upbringing in a $100 million penthouse, his proximity to the White House, and his attendance at some of the nation's most prestigious schools. Barron came into her own when Donald Trump resumed his campaigning. There is no other father-son relationship quite like the one between Barron Trump and Donald Trump. It would appear that they couldn't be more different at first look. Donald, who thrives on the fervor of controversy and media attention, is the quintessential showman. Barron, in contrast, has never been the outgoing type. Never one to bask in the spotlight, favoring instead a more subdued part. However, their dissimilarities serve to strengthen their bond, demonstrating the power of polar opposites in achieving harmony. Barron has been very forthright about his desire to not emulate his father since he was a little boy. Barron, who preferred to choose his own path, remained out of the spotlight while Donald was advancing in his career, presenting television shows, and ultimately campaigning for president. Raising a family where you are the center of attention all the time isn't easy. Barron, on the other hand, stands out due to his level head and ability to remain unseen. It is rather impressive that he has managed to remain calm amidst the mayhem that is the high-profile life of the Trump family. His reserved demeanor belies his considerable power, though. Donald has made it plain that Barron is significant in his life. He frequently expresses his pride in Barron's intelligence and independence. There was a watershed moment when Barron stood at Donald's side during his 2016 presidential victory speech, not only as a family member, but as someone who was emerging as a prominent and meaningful figure in the time. Barron wasn't merely following in his dad's footsteps, he was an integral part of his path, too, despite the personality contrasts between the two. The truth is that Barron is much more effective when he is working in the background, whereas Donald enjoys being the spotlight. He can make a difference even when he isn't in the limelight. Although his deliberate, understated influence isn't often visible on stage, it has unquestionably impacted the Trump family's approach. This is particularly evident in the field of digital media. The impact of Barron Trump goes much beyond his expertise in digital strategy and social media. In a family where everyone has a big personality, he's settling in and becoming a steadying influence. In an environment when everything is constantly under scrutiny, Barron has shown remarkable composure and stability. He is an integral part of the family dynamic because his serene assurance and composed attitude are a pleasant change from the boisterous and occasionally tumultuous people around him. Barron's genuineness is even more astounding. He has never been one to seek fame, even though he lives in a world full of fascinating people. Barron is being authentic without resorting to dramatic flourishes, in contrast to his energetic family. It's obvious he doesn't require showy antics to make an impression as he thoughtfully and intently forges his own way. Barron brings a refreshing sense of calm and groundedness to a family known for its dramatic outbursts. His quiet strength attracts many who are sick of the usual political hubbub. The intriguing thing is that Barron's function is in sync with the current changes in politics and the media. While more traditional campaigns depend on television ads, rallies, and major public events, Barron knows exactly where the youth of today are paying attention. His membership in Generation Z ensures that he is well-versed in the ways in which modern voters spend a great deal of time online, particularly on social media. Barron quickly realized that his father needed to join the younger voters where they already congregated if he wanted to reach them. Now, Trump's social media skills aren't exactly renowned. TikTok and podcasts aren't his cup of tea, he has stated publicly. However, Barron is aware of the platform's potential because of his upbringing in a tech-driven society. He has played a crucial role in bringing together conventional political methods with those of the contemporary digital era. He has a keen eye for new developments in the realm of online discourse and social media. Has rendered him an indispensable resource for connecting with younger, more tech-savvy demographics. Clearly, Donald values Barron's expertise in the digital realm. How much he appreciates Barron's opinion is demonstrated by the fact that he says Barron helped design plans. It would be a disservice to the family's digital presence to ignore Barron's subtle but significant contributions, such as recommending platforms to use or suggesting innovative ways to connect with a younger audience. Despite his exclusion from public view, Barron has been instrumental in giving Trump's legacy a new, contemporary spin. The suggestion that Barron's father explore the podcast industry was a pivotal move on his part. The popularity of podcasts has skyrocketed in the past decade, and young people in particular adore them for the genuine, in-depth discussions they feature. Barron saw this as a gold rush and lobbied for an appearance by Donald Trump on prominent podcasts like Joe Rogan's. An unprecedented occurrence in conventional warfare. With Barron's assistance, his father was able to branch out beyond television and public speeches to a whole new medium, where he could reach a larger and more attentive audience. This wasn't merely a smart suggestion. It was a brilliant move that helped Donald Trump connect with more people and win over their votes. Podcasts aren't the extent of Barron's digital acumen, though. Barron is completely at home on TikTok and YouTube, while his dad is more taken aback by their meteoric climb to prominence. What he doesn't realize is that YouTube algorithms, TikTok trends, and viral memes aren't only fleeting fads. They are effective means of interaction. It comes naturally to someone like Barron, who was raised in an environment filled with these platforms. He figures out how to use them to influence the topic and convey his dad's message in a way that the younger generation can relate to. There's no denying that Barron's unsung efforts have been appreciated. He has received nothing but love from everyone, even his sister-in-law Laura Trump, who has praised his brains and unique viewpoint. Not only that, but he is providing actionable strategies, not empty rhetoric. Barron has an astonishing grasp of the dynamic nature of the media industry for someone so young. He isn't only following in the family's political footsteps, he is actively shaping them, which has implications for the political landscape of the future. The atmosphere was electric as Barron stood up to deliver his maiden public statement. Unlike the other members of the Trump family, he has always preferred to remain out of the limelight. As a result, all eyes were on him as he approached the podium. Could you tell me what this man would say? Everyone was taken aback by what transpired next. Standing there with an air of self-assurance that most people 3 times his age would covet, 18-year-old Barron was anything but. He displayed no signs of nervousness or using a teleprompter. Without making an effort, he was speaking with the authority of an expert. This was plainly not your average political speech. Barron had an authentic point to make. Refreshingly serene was the tone of the speech. The message that Barron delivered stood out in a world where politics frequently resembles a raucous circus. His message was one of solidarity, perseverance, and welcoming change rather than inflammatory hyperbole or provocative sound bites. People are sick of divisiveness, and Barron's remarks are true, positive, and human, which is exactly what they need to heal the wounds. Its true purpose was not to incite strife but to unite and encourage individuals to persevere. However, Barron's ability to engage the audience was what truly distinguished him. It had the tone of an intimate discussion rather than a formal statement. He spoke with the crowd by looking them in the eye, responding to their applause, and even adding some humor that made them all chuckle. It was obvious. Barron wasn't only dropped by to strike up conversations. He was interacting with them in a way that made them feel valued and included. The reaction was instantaneous. Shortly after Barron's speech, the crowd went absolutely wild, and videos of the speech went viral on social media. Many praised his confidence, his sincerity, and his ability to bring a new perspective to the political arena. A lot of people were quick to see that Barron was finally breaking out of his renowned family's shadow and finding his own path in life. What made this moment so remarkable, though, was not merely what Barron said, but rather what it stood for. Barron has been Trump's silent partner, operating behind the scenes, for quite some time. However, he has shown in this speech that he is prepared to stand up, speak his mind, and begin to carve out his own destiny. Barron Trump is only going to get his feet wet, judging by this speech. There is a turning point for Barron Trump right now. He has, for a long time, been the most reserved one in a really rowdy family. Observing from a distance as the world scrutinized his father's every action. The emphasis is changing, though, as he enters manhood. This is now about more than just the son of Donald Trump. Here we see Barron developing his sense of self and planning for his future. Going to college is a major first step on that path. He is enrolled at New York University, an institution renowned for its innovative spirit, drive, and inventiveness. Here, students aren't afraid to question established standards, envision lofty goals, and forge unique routes. This is the type of setting where Barron could finally break out of the limelight that has followed his illustrious surname. He seemed determined to show that he can handle opportunities that come his way, even though his name is Trump. The educational system, however, is but a component. Many people took notice of Barron since he has been increasingly visible in recent months. For example, he attended his father's inaugural ceremony. The crowd anticipated that he would be quiet and uneasy. On the contrary, he exuded an air of calm assurance and surprisingly held my attention. It was a fleeting glimpse that suggested something greater, that perhaps he is prepared to take on a more prominent position. Naturally, Barron faces some special difficulties and possibilities as he grows into manhood. Privilege, scrutiny, and the influence and scandal that come with his last name have impacted his entire life. While other youngsters get to figure things out on their own, Barron is constantly scrutinized, compared, and even wrongly evaluated for every action he takes. However, judging by his recent public appearances, he seems to be entering this new chapter with determination and a firm grasp on how to control the limelight according to his own terms. An important part of this process is education, as mentioned before. While he's a student at NYU, he's surrounded by people who value autonomy, originality, and forward thinking. He has the opportunity to broaden his horizons and establish an identity unrelated to his family name in college, in contrast to the regimented environment of politics and business where he was up. Barron clearly wants to broaden his horizons beyond his upbringing, since he has decided to attend a school renowned for its progressive atmosphere and varied student body. His increasing visibility in the media indicates he isn't willing to remain in the background indefinitely. He was more than simply introduced as a composed and persuasive public speaker in his inaugural address. It suggested a young man who was cognizant of the significance of communication and relationship. His speech was measured, well-considered, and surprisingly interesting. He didn't rely on controversial statements. His capacity to speak from the heart distinguishes him from politicians whose speeches sound scripted. If he decides to become more prominent, he will undoubtedly do it in a manner that is true to himself. His unique upbringing as the son of two presidents has provided him with invaluable insight into the nature of power, influence, and the media. Firsthand, he has witnessed the shaping of narratives, the building of reputations, and the rapid shifting of public opinion. Few people his age have this kind of experience, and when you add in his innate ability to keep his cool under fire, you get an advantage. That is, unless he decides to utilize it to launch a political, business, media, or some other kind of career. He's about to become an adult, and he's got the skills to make a mark wherever he goes. Standing quietly by his father at public occasions, Barron Trump is now more than just that. He is coming into his own, discovering his voice, and demonstrating his readiness to shape his own legacy. One that goes beyond simply being a member of the Trump family for the very first time. Regarding his personal identity, nevertheless,